This is my hedgehog. His name is Bartholomew. My husband got him for me right before we got married because I really like hedgehogs. I think they're really cute. Just look at him. Oh, wait. Show versus tell, not show and tell. Alright, so welcome to Ink Slinging Monday. So something I've been thinking about a lot is the difference between showing and telling in your writing. I'm taking a creative writing class right now, and we do writing workshops where we have to critique each other's writing. And a problem that I have seen that's pretty common among everyone is trying to figure out how to show your readers something rather than telling them that. So I've been thinking about how you can avoid that, because it's a problem even I deal with. And so I've been reading about it, and I've been thinking about good examples of showing things in the books that I love. And so I'm going to share a little bit of that knowledge with you today. I think there's three main areas where it's important to show things instead of telling your readers about them. And the first of those areas I want to talk about is your characters' personalities. In my class recently, my teacher told us that the first way you show who a character is through their actions. And the second way is through what they say, through the dialogue. So an important thing in this area, when you're describing your characters, is to avoid using words like was, were, had, things like he was happy, but show how he's happy. So for example, in Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling doesn't tell us Lockhart was self-absorbed. Instead, she shows us that he's self-absorbed. There's no question about it. We all know. Through all the things he's always doing, and through the way he talks, the way he's always talking about himself, the way he's pulling Harry into pictures and trying to get publicity for himself all the time, and by the way he volunteers to go and save Ginny, even though he has no idea how to. And I think that's a really great example of doing your characterization through actions and words, and not through just a paragraph of description. So my first piece of advice is to incorporate descriptions of your characters into the flow of the story by things that they're saying, or things that they're doing, or even you can incorporate their physical descriptions into the story instead of stopping and interrupting your story to have a paragraph of description about a person, because that really interrupts the flow and kind of halts the reader. The second thing that's important to show instead of tell is your character's emotions. Sometimes it might be easiest to tell those things, but always be thinking about how you can show it and let your readers infer that about the character. One way you do this is by avoiding using too many adverbs. So for example, you don't want to use a weak general verb with an adverb to show the emotion behind it. An example of this would be, a weaker sentence would be to say, Katniss walked angrily away from Peeta. But a stronger version of that still shows that Katniss is feeling angry is to say, Katniss stormed away from Peeta, Katniss stomped away from Peeta, to find a verb that is more descriptive instead of relying on adverbs to build on basic general verbs that don't show us very much. Once again, just like when we're showing characters' personality, you want to use their actions to show their current emotions. Have your character jumping up and down because she's excited. Don't just tell us that that's the way she's feeling. The third thing that you want to avoid telling your readers too much is what the setting or environment is like. For example, a weaker version of the writing would be to say, Tony Stark woke up to a stormy morning. Okay, we know that it's stormy because you've told us that, but how could you show it? The thing you want to do with settings is you want to be able to paint a picture for your readers instead of just telling them something about the picture. So a better, stronger version of that sentence would be to say, Tony Stark woke up to a dim gray light filling his room. He heard rumbling thunder outside his mansion, and the hammering of heavy rain hitting his window. That way, we know that it's stormy, but you didn't have to tell us that. Something that we've been talking a little bit about in my class is generous writing. And what that means is that as the writer, you act as if your readers are just as smart as you are. Don't write down to them. Assume that they will get the picture you're painting, that they'll understand what the character's emotion is. And I think a big part of that is showing them things instead of telling them. Expect that they're going to understand that your character is angry because she's throwing things, or she's stomping away from someone, or because of what she's saying. Don't think that you have to tell them everything for them to get it, because readers can tell when you're writing down to them, and it makes it a much less interesting experience. That's all I've got for you this week, Word Nerds. Hope you've had a decent Monday and that you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you next week. Bartholomew is just so adorable.